Let's do this thing. Got a comment today. Balding at age 20, cone head, pale skin, can't grow beard. I got that comment. People were responding to it, so I'm very grateful for receiving that comment, because I love to help people as I help carry on this conversation. So somebody, Chance Cycle, who I think I had already made at least one video for, I was looking through his comment, and man, I'm actually jealous to see what it says here, because I think subconsciously I would have mentioned this in the comment, but I didn't want to distract away from what I was actually saying. Here's what Chance Cycle had to say. Quote, "It sounds like your dad is the one who thinks your hair looked better before you buzzed it off, your hair off. Family members sometimes even think a good change is weird at first because it's just different. So I would say if you like the change, you don't have to grow your hair out with Propecia again," end quote. So we got a guy, he says he can't grow a beard. He says he's got pale skin. He's losing his hair, and he's got like a cone-shaped head. And he's like, what do I do? You know, and he's, I think, 20 actually. And so as you hear the story from the other video, ultimately the doubt started when his dad basically said, why'd you do that? I need to talk to you about this, and I need to tell a personal story, which if you've followed me in the last year, you've heard me talk about this. We should talk about this again. I think this is important, because I answered the other video assuming that the guy really did have a cone-shaped head, or assuming it really did look bad. I was going worst case scenario with it. But I want to dedicate this indirect sequel to look at the other side of the story. Does it actually look bad with the short hair? Is it really a cone-shaped head? Is that an issue, or was it just that the dad didn't like it? Now, here's where it gets personal. This time it gets personal. So I first buzzed my hair, I think it was like a number 2 or number 3, back when I was in college. I was 21 when I did that for the first time in my life. Everybody loved it. Everybody thought it looked great. And I loved it. And I kept it that way for a while. But twice, while I was home visiting my parents back 8 hours away, because I went to school in Virginia, and my mom, who's quicker to compliment me than my mom, okay? You can imagine. She didn't have much to say. She didn't have much to say about my buzzed off haircut. Now, at age 21, I was pretty much right at Norwood too. For me, that's where I was at age 21. And it looked good. My hair looked good. Buzz, it really did. Everybody agreed. Everybody liked it. But my mom. And I remember the first time I did it, I had a number 3. And then like a couple months later when I came home, again, this time it was a number either 1 or 2. Because you could like see my skin for sure this time. But it wasn't like shaved off, but it was either a 1 or 2. And she commented something to the degree of, you know, I just miss you with hair, or something along those lines. And even now, I mean, I haven't buzzed my hair off in over a year and a half at this point. But even then, she won't. I mean, like for example, I can have this kind of hair. She sees me, buzz it off number 2 or 3 or whatever. She sees me a month later. She won't even acknowledge that I buzzed it off. While everyone else thinks it looks great and is quick to tell me that, my mom is the kind of person, she just won't even say anything if she doesn't like something. She just won't say anything. And that silence is how you know that she doesn't like it. You know? And it's funny because on a similar, well, basically to continue that story. So my dad, who, if you haven't seen my dad in my videos yet, I'm going to my parents' house this weekend, and I'm going to try to steal him away to make a video with me for this weekend. So my dad is now 60 years old, and you can be the judge. Is he Norwood 5? You know, something like that. Okay? But he's 60 years old. You know, what do you expect? That's how I'm going to be, you know, at some point. And about a year ago, he was ready to go ahead and shave it off, like a number 2 or number 1. He was gonna, actually, I was gonna do it for him for that Christmas. So this was like a year and a half ago this story takes place. Let me just kind of, there we go. Try to fix that a little bit. So he was like, okay, bring the clippers. Let's do this. And he even said, I'll let you film it for your video series, which at the time I had like 100 subscribers. And I said, okay, yeah, cool. So I brought everything. And then I said, okay, yeah, when do you want to do this? He's like, yeah, your mother and your sister, they don't want me to do it. So that's it. I mean, he looks great with his hair as it is now. But in his heart, he wanted to make that change, and he was ready. He wanted to fully embrace it. But family members, my mom and my sister, they didn't want him to. And it just goes back to what Chance here said, that even if it's a good change, family may not be the best audience to gauge this off of. Maybe they're right, and by all means, you know, we always want to be open-minded to criticism. That's one of the, in my whole philosophy about being a victim versus being a victor, is being victorious means you're open to criticism all the time, and you're never allowing yourself to be offended, and you're always ready to forgive people for anything anyway. That's part of my teaching, okay? But at the same time, that doesn't mean just because someone does criticize you that they're right. For all we know, the guy, you know, he says his head has got the cone shape going on. I mean, maybe not. Maybe he actually looks good with the short hair, with the buzz cut. Maybe he does. And maybe his dad just culturally thought it was different than the son he knew. And that's how my mom was with me and my dad. And my sister's that way too. So I guess what we're learning from this video is a reminder that even though it's nice to be open to criticism, perhaps the people closest to you may not always have the best opinion. And it's funny because, lucky for me, my wife loves it when I buzz my hair off. She loves it. So that's convenient for me. I don't have to worry about her when I get to that Norwood 4 stage, or 5 or 4.5, and I'm ready to just commit to it for the rest of my life. When I get to that point, I don't have to worry about her. Like, what I'll do, I'll go in the bathroom, I'll shave it off, I'll come out, she'll say, oh, your hair looks nice. And that's it. And then a week later say, oh man, I really like your hair short. And that'll be it. And that's my wife. But it's funny though, because for my wife to be happiest about my hair, I know my mom and my sister won't like it. So it's just a matter of choosing whose opinion ultimately matters and needs to matter the most in your life. And ultimately still, it's safe to say that you want to take into stock what do most people think too about your hairstyle. Ideally, most people will think it looks good shorter, and whoever's closest to you in your life that has some kind of bearing opinion on it will feel the same way. But what if you're in the situation where everyone except for that one family member likes it? I'd say unless they're your wife, I'd say don't worry about it. So yeah, I think we should always second guess what our family has to say when we cut our hair short. That's what I say. And so does Chance. Thanks for saying that, Chance.